Good evening and welcome. You're watching the NewsTrack. I'm Rahul. Was the worst train accident in India in the past 30 years a case of sabotage or human negligence? This case has been handed over to the CBI. We look at all the evidence that is in the public domain so far and try and understand, is this an accident or was it sabotage?
51 hours after the Odisha train crash. Tracks restored, but questions remain. What caused the triple train collision? Signalling error or human tampering? Accident or sabotage? The big focus on NewsTrack.
Here's a look at the headlines I'm tracking tonight. Politics continues over the Odisha train tragedy. Mamata Banerjee says CBI will hide the truth. Rahul Gandhi snipes at the Modi government from New York.
The Congress party did not get up and say, now it is the fault of the British that the train has crashed. No. The Congress minister, I remember, said, it is my responsibility the train has crashed, I'm resigning.
After Rahul Gandhi attacks the Modi government from foreign soil, External Affairs Minister schools the Congress leader, says some things are bigger than politics.
I may differ strongly with someone. I could say to you I differ with them, but how I countered it, I would like to go back at home and do it and watch me when I get back.
2 days after meeting Home Minister Amit Shah, protesting wrestlers get back to work. Sakshi Malik, Vinesh Phogat and Bajrang Punia join as officers on special duty in the sports department of the railways. They say their fight for justice will continue. UP gangster Mukhtar Ansari gets life imprisonment. He's been found guilty of Avdesh Rai's murder. US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin slams China on his visit to India, says will not tolerate coercion and bullying. "51 hours after the triple train collision in Balasore, the tracks have been restored. But several questions remain. The sabotage angle is now being looked at. What led to the Coromandel Express to switch tracks? How did a fail-safe track management system fail? India seeks to know what caused this disaster.
The remnants of a blood-stained disaster. And that's how it happened Friday evening in Odisha. At a speed of 128 km an hour, a Coromandel Express bound to Chennai veers onto an adjacent track occupied by an idle freight train. Its carriages jump off the rails. The derailed coaches topple and strike a second passenger train. The Yeshwantpur-Havra Superfast Express headed north on a parallel track, causing the last three carriages of that train also to derail. The country now seeks to know what caused this horror to unfold. What led Coromandel to divert from the main line to a wrong track in the first place? India today has accessed the railway's preliminary inspection report. Its findings indicate that Coromandel briefly received a green signal to pass through. The train swung onto the adjoining track instead. By that time, the signal had turned red.
India today had exclusively accessed this joint inspection report. That is like a first information report that details what exactly happened on that day. The conclusion says that the signal green was given and taken off. Experts say technically that's not possible. Once a signal is given, it cannot be taken off. This points to a signalling error, but what actually caused it is a matter of deeper investigation and inquiry that has been set up by the Indian Railway officials.
The passenger trains involved in the wreck weren't overspeeding. Under suspicion are problems in the track management system on that route.
अगर फेल हुआ तो उसमें फेल सेफ सिस्टम है, फेलियर कंप्यूटर समझता है, लॉजिक समझता है और उसको डिटेक्ट करेगा अगर कि यहाँ पे कोई फेलियर है तो वो सारे सिग्नल लाल हो जाएंगे, फेल सेफ हो जाएगा और गाड़ियाँ बंद हो जाएंगी कि पहले आप रुक जाइए, लेट अस चेक क्या प्रॉब्लम है, तभी आप आगे जाइए. तो ये फेल सेफ सिस्टम है as far as the tampering and the error part of it is concerned. But however, as it is being suspected, there was some kind of a problem in the system.
But how could a fail-safe track management system fail? Several intriguing questions have therefore led the Railways Ministry to seek a criminal investigation by the Central Bureau of Investigation. Was it a mechanical malfunction alone? Or was there an outside interference that caused it? Why didn't the computer-controlled interlocking system, which is supposed to lead trains automatically to empty tracks, work that day?
The cause of the accident has been identified and the people responsible have been identified. इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इंटरलॉकिंग की बात है. इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इंटरलॉकिंग में जो चेंज किया जिसके कारण ये दुर्घटना हुई, सो अभी कुछ भी कहना ठीक नहीं है. लेट द एंटायर थिंग बी इन्वेस्टिगेटेड बाय द प्रॉपर इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग अथॉरिटीज.
It's rare but not unprecedented for the CBI to investigate train accidents. The Central Investigating Agency probed a 2010 train wreck in West Bengal that left 148 people dead. That derailment was found to be an act of criminal conspiracy and sabotage by a Maoist group.
After lodging the FIR, CBI's focus to establish the cause behind this massive accident. To unearth the truth, CBI to establish was any sabotage or any negligence behind this accident which led death of many people. With camera person Shamsundar Ghosh, Munish Pandey and Ritik Mondal for India Today.
The Railways board member for operations, Jaya Verma Sinha, is the senior officer who made the presentation to the Prime Minister in that stock-taking meeting that happened in Delhi. We set up for Jaya Verma Sinha to explain to our Railways correspondent, Milan Sharma, what exactly happened that evening. And in a moment from now, we'll try and understand from experts in the Indian Railways, from former Railways ministers as well, what could have potentially gone wrong. Is this indeed a case of sabotage, or is this just system error which is possibly being passed off as sabotage with an aim at covering someone's track? So we'd look at that, but here is the officer in charge, Jaya Verma Sinha, explaining what happened that fateful evening.
What happened exactly on that particular day when Coromandel Express was coming towards this station?
There were two trains actually coming towards this station. One from this direction. This was Coromandel Express. This was coming from Howrah, Shalimar actually, and this was coming from Bangalore. This is the Yashwantpur Express. There are signals in advance which tell the driver that which is the route he is going to get. So if he is supposed to take the upline, main line, then he gets a green signal which allows him to go at his maximum speed. If he is to go to the loop line, then he gets the yellow which tells him that you have to go at a slower speed.
What is this signal called, ma'am? The outer
This
signal?
is called a distant
Signal, and this signal is called the
home signal.
home signal. So both the distant signal and the home signal are how far away from each other?
They are nearly a kilometer away.
Okay. So both were green at that time?
Yes, both were green at that point of time because the route was set for the main line, and even this starter which allows the train to go into the block section, what you call the block section, was also green. So the route was set for a non-stop pass through this station. Okay. So the driver understands this and they go at their maximum permissible speed.
So ma'am, when a goods train is kept on the loop line, I'm sure the station master is well aware of the train which is there stationary and which ones are passing and which ones are not.
Oh yes, yes.
And therefore when this Coromandel Express passes from here, why does it move over here into the loop?
That we don't know. that whether it actually went on the loop or whether something happened here and then the derailment made it get onto this area and the other areas, because it was at a very, very high speed. It was at a high speed, and at that high speed, if some mishap happens on whatever reason, the kind of disruption to the entire area is so huge that you can't really make out whether the train moved this way or it was going this way and it derailed and the impact led it to climb here. That will all come out in the detailed inquiry.
Ma'am, also the Rail Minister said that it's something to do with the electronic interlocker. Now, what is an electronic interlocker?
In simple terms, is means to ensure that all your signaling is actually reflecting the status of the path that has been set for the train. So the logic is built in such a way that if this section is blocked, it will appear as red for the track, from the track circuit that is there. There's the track circuit running along here.
So what, ma'am, what is the track circuit?
It's a simple electric mechanism through which a very low voltage current is passed here, and it actually detects the presence of any kind of a vehicle over the line.
And therefore, when this train hit here, this one was going straight.
Yeah, this was passing through, and since these wagons went here and there after the accident, some of the wagons which had gone this way, they hit the last part of this train. This train had actually almost passed through this area, and just the last two coaches were about to pass. And since this accident happened in this area, some of the coaches of Coromandel went in this direction, and they hit the last two coaches of the train which was passing. So then Yashwantpur's last two coaches got hit, and they went and they fell on that side.
Ma'am, have you totally ruled out the sabotage angle in this area yet?
No, nothing has been ruled out, and in fact you might be aware that a CBI inquiry is being ordered into this area. They will ascertain whether there was any other angle to the thing or not.
So the CBI is looking at all aspects, including the possibility of sabotage. This could well be a system failure as well. Is there enough reason to believe at this moment that this could be sabotage, or is this just a systemic failure being passed off as some kind of a criminal conspiracy? Joining us on this broadcast, I want to welcome first Dinesh Trivedi. He's been member of the BJP. When he was in the Trinamool, he was India's Railways Minister, understands the ins and outs of the Indian Railways. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I just want to introduce our other guests as well. Before I go to Dinesh Trivedi, first I have Lalit Chandra Trivedi. He's been Chairman of the Railway Division of India. Alok Kumar Verma has been Chief Engineer in the Eastern Central Railway. Sudhanshu Mani has been Director of the Vande Bharat Express project. Sanjay Jha and Saket Gokhale are with us. They've been writing and speaking extensively about what happened. I want to go across to Dinesh Trivedi first, because the opposition is suggesting that this idea of sabotage has essentially been floated by the BJP to try and cover what could also be a systemic error. You understand the operations of the Indian Railways, Dinesh Trivedi. Could you begin by explaining, on the basis of what you know, why you think that the sabotage angle should be looked at very seriously, and why this isn't a political attempt but actually an effort to get to the bottom of what happened on the 2nd of June?
Well, Rahul, first of all, let me accept that the panel which you have, they are the real experts. And even as a railway minister, I have always told that they are my gurus. And if at all I have learned a little, I have learned from these experts. They breathe railways in and out, and they are dedicated people. Having said that, opposition, unfortunately, will oppose without knowing the facts. If I take you back 2010, similar thing happened. And Mamata Banerjee rightly gave it to CBI, perhaps at the recommendation of the board. And then the CPM also was doing the same thing today as Rahul Gandhi and Mamata Banerjee are doing, unfortunately. So we must have a lot of faith and trust. Having worked as a Minister of Railway, I can tell you they are the best people on earth. Railway is absolutely a professional body, and I have never seen in such a depth railway board member explaining the cause of the accident. So, number one, the cause of the accident has been detected, right? Number two, they have also reasons to believe there is a criminal angle to it. And who's recommending a CBI probe? Not the minister. It is the professional railway board in their wisdom after understanding the entire situation. And I can tell you with all the responsibility under my command, the railway board is a very professional body and they will not hide anything. The system is very strong and rightly I feel, and yesterday also, and day before yesterday also in your program, I had said that no angle can be ruled out, including sabotage. And I'm sure the system has enough information for a CBI probe. Opposition will oppose, and which is unfortunate because this deals with national security of the country.
You've seen the likes of Saket Gokhale, who's with us on the show, and I'll go to him in a moment, have put out tweets. No, one second, sir. They're basically quoting
Rahul, I just don't want to get into politics of it. I really don't want to waste my time. I have full faith in the railway board. I just don't want to join issues.
No, so forget what Saket is saying for a moment. Leave that on the side. Leave that on the side.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying.
I'm sorry, they're very, very irresponsible at this point in time.
Sure. There is this letter from February 23, 3 months ago, about track and signal safety. It talks about what could have been a serious head-on collision between a passenger and a goods train. This is on the Sampark Kranti Express, where this train could have crashed with a goods train coming from the opposite direction. The driver at that time was alert and prevented the crash. He's talking about, this letter talks about an issue with the interlocking system, because of which the route of the train suddenly gets changed after it gets a signal. This is a failure in the system which didn't alert the system master to this unusual track change, which, according to what we've put together, seems to have happened in this instance as well. So is there also the possibility of a systemic error here, sir?
Rahul, I have seen this letter. It's all in the public domain, and nobody can be smarter than the railway people themselves. This has nothing to do with the present situation. The present situation is totally different. And what makes you think that some kind of this error was not rectified, if that was an error? We are presuming. And I don't want to get into that kind of presumption. I know the situation and circumstances. It is such a freak one that a train which is running at 128 kilometers an hour, green light, suddenly gets into the loop without any rhyme or reason. And there is a stationary train and a freight loaded by iron ore, which means you are talking about crashing into a rock. Iron ore, goods train, fully loaded, is like a rock. It just would not move. So I'm sure there is something much more than meets the eye. And let's wait for the CBI inquiry. And please understand, CBI inquiry is not ordered by the minister. CBI is recommended by the professional railway board. And I'm sure the panel will agree with me that railway board is absolutely a professional body.
The other thing I want to ask you about is this account book which has come in the public domain of the Southeastern Railway, which talks about how there's been no spending on the anti-collision system in this area for the last 3 years. Now, the amount that was sanctioned apparently was 1,243 crore rupees, but the books reveal that zero expenditure was done in this particular sector for the Kavach network. Expenditure till March 2022, which is what is in the public domain, suggests that the provision existed, but the expenditure hadn't happened. How do you explain that, sir?
Rahul, it's a legitimate question, but please understand, railway has many heads to spend. In this particular case, I have not studied, but I know appropriation head is also there. So at times we go to the parliament to get the sanction of it. Sometimes you have to work on speed. So you take.
Oh, Dineshji, you went on mute. So do you want to just tell me what you were saying and then we'll let you go? Dinesh Trivedi? You're on mute, sir. Just unmute yourself. Okay, let me go across to Saket Gokhale. Dinesh Trivedi didn't want to engage with Saket Gokhale, but I want to put the points that Dinesh Trivedi said, and Saket must respond. One, that it's not as if the minister or anybody in the Railways board has particularly said they suspect sabotage more than the other theories. They're saying that all cases need to be looked at, all aspects, whether it's negligence, system failure, human error, whether it's sabotage. So why then make it seem as if the CBI probe will somehow try and cover the systemic failure? Let the agency probe. Let's try and find out. You are as keen on finding out as everybody else what really happened.
Hi, Rahul. So first of all, I'd like to point out something very interesting here. I don't know what the BJP is up to, but I was on your channel on Saturday night, and just before me, Mr. Dinesh Trivedi had appeared on the show. And on Saturday itself, he was very vehemently claiming that there is a sabotage angle. So Mr. Dinesh Trivedi had claimed sabotage even before the Railway Board claimed it, which was yesterday or today. So I have no idea how Mr. Dinesh Trivedi knew there was sabotage on Saturday night before the Railway Board actually recommended that to the minister allegedly on Sunday, one day before. I have no idea how we found out. But let's not get into that. I don't want to engage with what you said. The simple question here is, if there is a foul play that is suspected, because that is only when you will bring in the CBI. CBI is a criminal investigation agency. The FIR that has been filed by the Railway Police today in Balasore, on which the CBI will be investigating the case, the sections in the FIR, if you look at them, the sections under which the FIR registered are section 337, 338, 304A of the IPC. All of these sections relate to causing death by negligence. Number one. Number two, there is no section applied for a criminal conspiracy. There is no 120B in this FIR. So the charges in this FIR that has been filed by the Railway Police, which the CBI is investigating, are alleging death due to negligence.
No, but that's the initial FIR. As the probe is carried forward, if there is reason to add sections, that can always be done.
But the question is prima facie, even they are saying that there is negligence. Now, until yesterday morning, the Railway Minister gave a statement saying the Railway Board has submitted the preliminary findings. I have seen a copy of the findings, the 4-page handwritten note, by the way. It clearly says that this is an issue with interlocking is what it said. Then the government went to explain how electronic interlocking and how it could not have been covered, blah, blah, all of that. Then suddenly there is this thing about a CBI inquiry. Before the Railway Board has even completed, the Railway Board's final report has not come out yet. Now, as far as the Railway Board being professional, as Mr. Trivedi said, the Railway Board still reports to the Railway Minister. It's not an independent body like the CAG. It's not an independent body like the Election Commission.
No, but these are, now once again, Saket, that's being unfair because these are hardcore professionals, engineers, technicians, and it's also their professional reputation. If this accident happens on somebody's watch, it's not just Ashwini Vaishnaw or Prime Minister Modi's fault, it's these officers and their professional credibility, their reputation rides on this.
Rahul, I get it, but then the question remains that why are we then casting aspersions on the letter that was written by a Southeastern Railway officer 3 months ago, which pointed out that there are serious deficiencies in the interlocking system. If the people, without entering the relay room, can actually change the interlocking on the track, it should not be allowed to be done. It signaled in February of 2023. The question is, the railway professionals have brought this to the attention of their superiors several times.
Okay, so let me do one thing. I just want to walk across to that big screen and play out this video which we've put together with the India Today Open Source Intelligence Desk, and you will see what happened. Now, this is our best estimate based on everything that is in the public domain. We don't have access to the railway's own records, but using the logger which was used, we tried to recreate what happened. So here's essentially what happened, and look out for this signal because this is a signal that really tends to cause that accident. So you've got a situation here where there is a goods train on the two loop lines. They're just stationary and static. They're over there. And you've got the Coromandel Express coming from Balasore towards Bhadrak in Odisha. This is around 6:55. And essentially, for some reason, and this is what I'll just go across to our panel of experts and try and understand from them, in some fashion, the train goes on the loop line. Can we just play that out for our viewers? It's just coming on your screen right now. Remember, we've also tried to infuse some artificial intelligence generated images. So here is the goods train that's static. You've got the two trains now coming at 120 kilometers plus. I spoke to some railway officials. This is the fastest they can come. And somehow at this signal, which is now marked in red, this gets switched to the loop line. And that's what I'm going to try and understand from our guests. Why and how could that have happened? Suddenly, they have a green signal. You just heard what that officer was saying. She had a green signal. So this train should have essentially just gone straight. That train should have gone straight. This train would have gone like this. And that would have been just a routine day on the tracks. For some reason, something in that signal asks and gets this train to move into the loop line, where it goes and smashes into the goods train. And then remember, this is not the only accident that happens, because this train is whizzing past on the top, the Yashwantrapur Express, because it's whizzing past on the top. As this train collides, bogies of this train go and smash into the last two bogies of the Yashwantrapur Express, which is on the line above. Now, I'm no railway expert. You know, these are signals, which really is a hardcore specialization. So on this, I want to go across to Sudhanshu Mani, Alok Kumar Verma and Lalit Chandra Trivedi. Three different perspectives on what could have happened. I just want to play that animation on the screen so that our viewers can understand visually, try and determine what happened. And I want to go across to Sudhanshu Mani, because when I spoke to you earlier, we had a broad sense but not the specific details. Now we've heard the Railway Minister say it as well. We heard the operations member of the Railways Board say it, that there is some issue with the signal which is green, asking the train to go straight, yet it somehow comes onto the loop line. How and why could something like this have happened according to you?
Okay, so the electronic interlocking is a fail-safe system. It goes through extensive testing, and I have in my service life not come across of a system malfunction which is not fail-safe. If there is a failure, it turns the signal to red, brings the trains to stop. In this case, although the route was set to loop line, the signal was showing for main line. That is something which is possible only because of an unauthorized human intervention. Now, that human intervention can be criminal, with criminal intent, or it could also be because of criminal cavalier attitude to maintenance, to quicken one's maintenance work, and doing an unauthorized intervention in the circuit, fooling the system to think the driver that he is
no,
going
one second. Can I just pause you to say
full speed.
You are suggesting that this is negligence, but I'm also reading this one letter from February 23, which talks about a system problem. It talks about a serious problem in the interlocking system where the route of the train suddenly gets changed after it gets a signal. This was a failure in the system which didn't alert the system master to this unusual track change. The signal maintainer, the ESM, meddled with the train interlocking system without entering the relay room, which is a shocking failure of the inbuilt safety measures. So I don't understand the specific nuances, but this is broadly what seems to have happened in this case as well. Dinesh Trivedi says it isn't. But isn't it possible that there could also be a system failure? You're saying this is some kind of criminal negligence or somebody tweaked with the system. But what if there is a gap in the system or there's a problem with the system? Why aren't you willing to accept that possibility?
So I have seen that letter, but I was not able to study it. It's a letter from one officer to another hinting that there was a system failure. I doubt if it was established as a system failure. So beyond that, I'll not be able to go into that letter, but I'm speaking from my experience. This kind of system failure, which is not in a fail-safe mode, does not happen.
Why not? I mean, all systems can fail. The system could have failed. Why? What are you imagining? From what you know, what are you imagining could have happened? You're saying that somebody, either within the railways or from outside, came and tinkered and tweaked with the system, which created a set of circumstances which led to this accident. That's what you're suspecting?
I'm saying this based on my experience and based on my understanding. Equipment can fail, components can fail, but the system takes care that in such a situation it goes to fail-safe mode. In this case, it would have turned the signals to red, and a train would have stopped in time because the route was not set to the path that the signal was showing.
Maybe the fail-safe failed. Isn't that a possibility?
But no, fail-safe does not fail. That's the whole idea of fail-safe. It goes through such extensive testing that it precludes any possibility of fail-safe failing.
Okay, you're a railways man, so you obviously have faith in your system. Let me get a perspective from Lalit Chandra Trivedi as well. Mr. Trivedi, you know, we have this animation which kind of tries to explain what happened. Now, of course, everybody's trying to imagine what could have been that failure which led to this accident. Are you also suspecting sabotage, or do you think this could be a system failure?
As far as I understand from the information which I have gathered from the various sources, apparently, as per my information, there is a level crossing inside the station limits. There is starter signal, there is a advanced starter signal. Between the up starter and up advanced starter, there is a level crossing. Apparently, the boom of the level crossing had some problem. It was being replaced. Now, boom, it was an interlocked level crossing. Interlocked level crossing means that if the level crossing is open, that means if the road traffic is being permitted through that level crossing, then the signals don't come. And for any non-interlocked asset to be undertaken for maintenance overall for anything, there is a system of disconnecting, issuing a disconnecting memo to the station. And moment the disconnection memo is given, the trains are supposed to run in a, what we call it in railways, the non-interlocked working. The way this train has been handled, this is my, of course, these are my personal opinion and based on my own information which I have gathered. So I have a feeling that the SOP which is laid down for attending to a interlocked asset in the station limits was not followed, and most probably, in my opinion, what has happened, that there is a terminal which connects, which captures the position of the point, whether it is, if it is set for the main line, we call it normal position. If it is set for the loop line, we call it a reverse position. So this, and since the signals don't come if the disconnection is there, so, and the time was of 6 p.m. type, when the people want to wind up the day's work and go home. So there is a possibility that in his effort to set right the system, because the route was coming, that he has connected it wrongly. Now, either it is a criminal intent or it is a criminal negligence. So either
that's
way,
important. No, good. I'm glad that at least you're keeping both theories possible. You're saying this could be criminal negligence, it could be criminal intent, but you're also saying it isn't necessary that this be deliberate sabotage. This could just be one of those freak things that happen that lead to this accident. And that's where I want to go across to Sanjay Jha, because I was seeing some of the posts that you put out, Sanjay. You again, being in the opposition, are going all guns, hammer and tong at the government. The fact is that what has happened isn't known yet. Let it be probed. The government, amongst various things, the CBI is probing sabotage. Surely you would also accept that this is one of the things that need to be looked at, including all other theories. Not as if that's the only theory they're suspecting.
Rahul, good evening. I want to tell you why this government cannot be trusted. Its track record is wretched, is miserable, they are opaque, and they are masters of red herrings. They do anything to create a headline. that suits them even at the time of a human tragedy. Now, let me tell you the point here. I'm not a technical expert, so I'm not going to get into that debate. A lot has already been said. But look at a couple of data points. Number one, I think Dr. Trivedi, who I wish was there on the show, had read the CAG report. You know, it would tell you how disingenuous he was being by actually pretending as if the CAG report doesn't indict this government anyway. Point number two, there is a submission made by the Railway Minister in Parliament where he says that over 3 lakh jobs need to be filled because they are vacant in the railways. Now that, to my mind, Rahul, is a very pertinent and significant confession of what is really going on in the Railway Ministry. 3 lakh jobs, you know what that means? I mean, that's an astronomical number. In fact, that report and several reports have said that people in the railways are working for 16 hours, 18 hours. Now, you know, it's very easy to say sabotage, you know, but human error on account of maybe overworked staff who are working 16, 18 hours is very much possible. And I'll tell you why I believe Mr. Modi's government is absolutely shameless. This is what I would call as, you know, remembering the French Empress or the Queen, the Marie Antoinette government. You know, give them cake if they don't have bread. Here is a government that probably they had recruited these 3 lakh people. Their budget or their wage bill would be around 9,000 crores. And they want to contain a fiscal deficit. But this is the same government that has given a 1,45,000 crore tax concession to the corporate sector in 2019. If you multiply that 4 in the last 4 years, that's close to 6 lakh crores. And you're talking about saving 9,000 crores a year on recruitment. Can somebody explain that? And the minister is on record, based on the reports I've read, that there is a shortage of staff. And you look at the data for the Central Railway, Rahul, it's interesting. Out of the number of people whom they should have recruited, 50% of the people not recruited belong to the safety department. So what are you seeing today? You're seeing the poor, the neo-middle class, the middle class who use trains are becoming sacrificial goats. I mean, can you imagine the brutality of this accident? I mean, can you imagine the nightmare for the people? And how can this government be so, audacious or manifest such kind of callousness as to attribute reasons to a sabotage when you haven't even established through a track record as to what really went wrong?
Okay. I want to go across to Alok Kumar Verma. He's been chief engineer of the railways. Now, we're also reading railway officers write about how, more passengers are being added, new trains are being added, sections are saturated. The effort right now is on increasing speed of trains, and how the increased speed of trains could also, in a situation where things go wrong, make the accident much bigger than it would have been otherwise. Now, that's one way of looking at it. But on the back of all that we've known, we've seen two officers. One saying it could be a case of negligence, either criminal negligence or just, something which goes wrong. The other is saying that, no, this seems to be a deliberate case of sabotage. On the basis of what you know, Alok Verma, what do you think happened in Balasore?
I would like to say that we should focus on the larger issue here, which is that why Indian Railway has a dismal record of safety. If we just go to last 5 years, you remember in 2016, a train, this Indore-Patna Express derailed, and more than about 150 people died. As many number of people were seriously injured. Next year, we had the accident at Khatoli, where a supervisor was not getting blocked for carrying out maintenance. He opened the track, Kalinga Express came and derailed, and it killed more than 20 people. A lot of people were injured. And if you go back in history, we in the last 20-25 years, you have Khanna accident, you have Dyson accident.
Now, I'm trying to bring you to this particular accident and understand from you, on the basis of your expertise as chief engineer, where do you think systems went wrong? Is it a case of sabotage to you? Does it seem like a case of negligence or system failure?
I'll come to that, and I'm coming to that only. I think the root cause in this behind this record of safety of railways is the acute congestion on our trunk routes. This Howrah, Howrah Chennai route where this train accident has taken place is also heavily congested. Railway board has admitted that about 10,000 kilometers of trunk routes of Indian Railway is running at 125% capacity utilization, whereas for proper safety, proper operations, capacity utilization should not exceed 90%. So we are running 10,000 kilometers of track at 125% capacity. Now you see in this particular case, this train which was coming from Yashwantpuram was running 2 hours late. You see, this is also very important when you have trains, trains running 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours late, it disturbs the whole operation. People do not get time for maintenance. As I was telling you in Khatoli in 2017, the supervisor opened the track because he was saying, I am not getting traffic block, but I am seeing unsafe condition. I have to open the track. So you see, this acute congestion is leading to inadequate inspections, inadequate maintenance, and drivers and guards and trackmen, signalmen being asked to work overtime. The CAG report now and in the past also, they have pointed out how people are working overtime. So I think the main problem is the acute congestion on our trunk routes. And the Indian Railway should have added new lines to create an adequate capacity. We are doing this in the road sector. You see, we are making an expressway from Delhi to Mumbai. But we already have a national highway. We are now making an expressway. We are making a elevated expressway from Delhi to Dehradun. All over the country, we are creating expressways, new expressways. So similarly, we should build new lines on these trunk routes, which can decongest this thing, and the trains can run, the routes can run at less than 90% utilization.
You know, I don't want to play judge and jury just at this moment. You've heard from 3 experts and 3 politicians with different points of view. And because this is a matter that's currently being looked at by the railways and by the Central Bureau of Investigation, we'll allow for that probe to play out, and we'll keep tracking what's happening. I'm running out of time. Sudhanshu Mani has his hand up and he wants to make a quick comment before I wrap up. Mr. Mani, go for it.
Yeah, you seem to attribute to me that I have said that it is sabotage. I said it's either criminal intent or criminal callous shortcut method of maintenance. First, I thought it was the latter. It is only after the government has ordered a CBI inquiry, which has more information than I have, that I have said it could be either of the two.
No, sure. As I said, we don't want to play judge and jury. We're not expecting any of you to play judge and jury either. Experts can look at the same facts and glean more from them. That's what we're doing, tapping into your expertise to try and understand what you think could have happened, so people know what to make of this accident. It's not just the politics that's also playing itself out. It's the fact that we've had the worst train accident in almost 30 years. And that is something to be quite dismayed and distressed about. And then to try and understand what led to this and how to ensure it doesn't happen again. We'll keep tracking that and more. I want to thank our guests for joining us. Slipping into a break right now. When we come back, after Rahul Gandhi attacks the Modi government on foreign soil, External Affairs Minister schools the Congress leader, says there are things that are bigger than politics. Coming up on the other side of a quick break.
This is the first ever Vande Bharat Express cross the accident site of Balasore's Bahananga station. Since this accident took place, you can see currently this Vande Bharat Express is crossing the Bahananga, passing through this Bahananga railway station on the up track. The track which was massively damaged due to the massive impact of the accident. As the railway authorities is concerned, we are being told that the train drivers have been guided to take trains at a speed of 20 kilometers per hour through this particular section where the accident took place on Friday evening. You can see now this train is passing through this, this particular Bahananga rail station. Now it will, it will get its speed back when it is heading towards Puri. So we can see since this morning several passengers train, be it Vande Bharat Express or the Coromandel Express, which collided with a goods train on Friday evening, are back on track at in Odisha's Balasore. With camera person Shamsundar Ghosh, this is Ritik for India Today.
Quality today. In Delhi, 137. In Mumbai, 66. In Kolkata, 39. In Bangalore, 58. In Chennai, 148. In Hyderabad, 66.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.
Rahul Gandhi has been ruining the death of democracy in India during his interactions across the United States. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, who's also abroad for a BRICS meeting, had a clear message for the Congress leader. Jaishankar said that while some things are bigger than politics and that he will get back to India where he'll respond to Rahul Gandhi, but not do so on foreign soil.
Two Indian leaders, one from the ruling party and the other from the opposition, are abroad interacting with the diaspora and holding meetings. Their approach totally different. If Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is using much of his time to target Prime Minister Narendra Modi, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is refusing to delve on Indian domestic politics.
I try when I go abroad not to do politics abroad. You know, even a democratic culture has a certain collective responsibility. There is a national interest, there is a collective image. There are sometimes things bigger than politics. And when you step outside the country, I think that's important to remember. So I may differ strongly with someone. I could say to you I differ with them, but how I counter it, I would like to go back at home and do it, and watch me when I get back.
While responding to a question at a diaspora meet in Cape Town, South Africa after the BRICS meet, Jaishankar did not name any leader, but his reference to Rahul Gandhi was obvious. In contrast, Rahul Gandhi has been attacking Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his speeches in the United States.
All of you came here by car, using your cars. Imagine if the only thing you did was look in the rearview mirror. And it's the same idea with the BJP, with the RSS, all of them. You listen to them. You listen to their ministers. You listen to the Prime Minister. You will never find them talking about the future. They will only talk about the past.
Rahul had earlier accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi of playing God.
We have a group of people in India who are absolutely convinced that they know everything. In fact, I think they think maybe they know even more than God. They could sit down with God and have a conversation and explain to him, about what is going on. And of course, our Prime Minister is one such specimen. I think if you sat Modi ji down next to God, Modi ji would start explaining to God how the universe works.
While Rahul Gandhi is often criticized for attacking the Modi government on foreign soil, the Congress points to the Prime Minister's speeches abroad that have targeted earlier governments. But should Indian leaders be taking domestic political feuds abroad at all? It's a debate that is raging but not settled yet. Bureau Report, India Today.
This is where I wrap up the news track tonight. For your time and your trust, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Till then, from all of us here, goodbye, good night.
Can ChatGPT become your lawyer? Can generative AI chatbots replace human lawyers? Well, these questions have become a big concern for the lawyer community and law students around the world. The fire was fueled further with the launch of AI tools like Do Not Pay. Do Not Pay is the world's first robo-lawyer. Founded by Joshua Browder, a Stanford University computer scientist, Do Not Pay is an AI legal services chatbot meant to help people deal with minor legal issues such as late fees, fines, and traffic tickets. As of March 2023, Do Not Pay has been used in 250,000 cases and won 160,000 of them, with a success rate of 64%. Now, the company and its founder have been sued. And it's not just one lawsuit. Multiple cases pointing various errors have been filed, where the robo-lawyer, instead of pleading not guilty, pleaded guilty. In one of the cases, it did not notify its client about a hearing. There are other cases of blunders as well. But more importantly, the AI chatbot is being sued for practicing law without a license, which is mandatory for human lawyers. Despite legal hurdles, other artificial intelligence chatbots are popping up. Allen and Overy, an international M&A firm, introduced Harvey, a chatbot to help with research and extraction of clauses, a job which is primarily for freshers in a law firm. Interestingly, it has been named after the protagonist of a popular legal drama, Suits. Ironically, this comes at a time when the company is experiencing high attrition rate.